Just waiting for it to load up. There we go. Okay, awesome. I'm going to come back to you. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with my friend Sarah Haas. She is a women's weight release coach and body love coach as well. Why don't you tell us something, introduce yourself a little bit more and tell our audience more about you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be on today and to be able to talk to your community. As you said, I'm a women's weight release and body love coach, and women all over the world I see struggling, with these body issues. And, I'm someone who's struggled with them my whole life as well. And I'm so passionate about it because I want women to feel good in their bodies. I want them to feel confident, and not only that, but to be healthy. I mostly work with women in middle age or midlife, however you want to say it, which is where I am. I'm about to turn 52, and we have kind of changing bodies, changing metabolisms. We've got the hormones, and the hot flashes, all that stuff going on. And we're also looking at some life changes, some shifts, whether that's my kids I have one in college, another one about to start college. Some people are starting new careers, retiring. We're all in different places, caring for aging parents, whatever. But we also have these life shifts going on, and we're looking at what's my second half going to look like. I want it to look awesome. I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel healthy. I want to feel in control of my health. I want to age well. I want to be able to move around and be strong and do everything that I want in life. And that's my passion, and that's my life's calling, is to help women nourish themselves and learn how to care for themselves and care for their bodies in a way that feels good and in a way that they can continue living for decades to come.
I love that. And it's so needed. My question to you is, why do we need to be taught how to take care of ourselves? What's that about?
I know, it's such a great question, and it has a few different answers. One of them is that as women, we're sort of brought up to be the nurturers, the caregivers. I work with so many women who are in service fields, whether that be teachers, nurses, coaches, things like that, because we're the givers. And that's who we are, and it is a wonderful thing. The world needs that. However, maybe it's our upbringing, maybe it's society. We've sort of gotten trained, or we have this feeling that everyone else comes first. So I have to take care of my family. I have to take care of my significant other. I have to take care of my parents. I have to take care of my children, my work. Work is a huge one. And in doing so, we don't make that time for ourselves. So we throw our own health under the bus in order to take care of everyone else. And then I see this guilt cycle happening, right? Women say, I want to get healthy, I want to release weight, whatever it is they're looking to do. And they try to add that to their long, busy to-do list. And inevitably, they can't keep up with it because they're at the bottom. They're at the bottom of the list. And so part of what I do is through coaching is helping us realize that we're just as worthy, we're just as valuable, and we not only deserve, we must give ourselves the same time, the same care, the same love, the same nurturing that we give to everyone else in our lives. And the other issue is our brains are so full of all these diets, all these fads, all these different ways that we've been told over the years is the answer. The keto, the low carb, before that it was low fat, no fat. And we keep trying all these extremes, and it's gotten us so out of balance and so out of touch with our own bodies and our own needs. And so part of what I do is teach you the real science so that this is based in fact. This is not the latest, newest thing. This is a practical, simple, balanced way of eating and moving and caring for your body that will allow you to come into the balance that you're meant to have. So you're not having cravings, you're not hungry, you're not, up and down and all over the place, losing weight, gaining weight, da 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 da. So it's sort of breaking through that chaos, just, okay, calm. Let's stop that noise. Stop that noise. It's not that complicated. It's just been made complicated by people who want us to buy their book and buy their app and whatever.
I love that, and also it's in alignment with with an article I'm preparing for April, which is like decluttering month, right? Is decluttering the mind for a healthy sleep. It's just, a little piece of decluttering, right?
There's so many pieces, right? Our home,
Exactly,
our
right.
minds.
You said stop the noise, right? And the voices in there started with me as being in service to my family. I mean, as soon as I could walk, I remember, being kind of go do this and go do that and that kind of stuff, right? And the message that I internalized, I don't know that they meant this, it's just the way I internalized it, was everybody else first, I get the dregs, what's ever left over. And so I had to actually rewire my orientation in order to realize I had to fill my cup first and everybody else gets the overflow, which took a lot of reorienting for me because that old patterning kept asserting itself. Oh, someone so needs whatever. Oh, go there. Right. So there's that piece. And then there's the kind of codependent people pleasing thing that we can fall into if there's any unresolved trauma on board. And I really don't know anybody that doesn't have unresolved trauma on board. So we have a lot of things feeding into stopping the
The
noise.
noise. Yeah, we do. We do. And like you said, from an early age, we're taught you are last, everyone else is first. You get whatever is left over. And that's carried through generations and generations. Throughout history, women are undervalued as, the lower the lower part of society. And unfortunately, that still goes on in a lot of places. And we're still not there. We're still not where we need to be. But I believe in stepping into our own power and stepping in and saying, I am worthy of this.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to change generations to come, and it's going to change society, because as long as we keep buying into that and passing it on to our daughters,
Mm-hmm.
it will continue. It will continue. And, I almost equate it to like a brainwashing, it's been going on for so long. And the other piece that you said was the people pleasing. So we're taught this is our value. Our value is in how we can serve others. And we have that inner critic, we have that trauma, we have all those voices over the years telling us you have to achieve, you have to perform, you have to check off this, and this. You have to make people love you, like you, want to be around. And that's a huge part of it. If we feel like say it's a busy working mom and she comes home and she really would like an hour of quiet or a walk or something for her. She's been working all day and she has kids and she feels guilty. I need to do this, this, and this for my children, for my spouse, for whatever first. And then if there's time, I can have a little time for me. And if you take that time, you feel guilty. You feel like you're not doing what you're meant to do. You're not performing that role. And also that people are going to be disappointed. People aren't going to see you as valuable if you aren't always doing for them.
Yes, and it may even play into self-esteem. If I'm not serving, I'm not worthy.
Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
we've
I
got a
mean,
lot
that's
of
almost the
myth.
root of it all. That's almost the root of it all is that lack of self-love, that low self-worth piece that
Well,
we're all working on.
yeah, we're equating service with worth when worthiness is not an issue. We're
Absolutely.
all worthy,
We're
but
born worthy.
yeah, but we get that confused. Yeah, we get that confused. I'm trying to think, just so for full disclosure here, I was my grandmother on my maternal grandmother was a Vogue model. And when I was in the roaring 20s, so just to give you,
Wow, that's cool.
and just to give you an idea of my issue around body image, um, my grandmother, that her name was Elizabeth, I was named after her. Um, she was killed in the Second World War, and they named me after me, named me after her. And as I was growing up, there were pictures of her, a few pictures in the house in very kind of certain places. But because the circumstances around her death were so tragic for my mom, we didn't talk about her hardly at all. It was kind of like this "don't talk about your grandmother" kind of thing. But somehow I got the message that I didn't measure up to her beauty in, like, not even close, like not even. And so I had this, kind of like, hiding kind of energy in my field, really, just carried myself that way, felt it fit mind, body, spirit. I kind of took on that identity. So that was my growing edge to deal with around body image. And the way I healed it was, I had kind of a wake up call one day of, this is the body that God gave you. Who are you to question God? Right. It was kind of like right like that. So I was able to kind of turn the whole thing on a dime like that, because that was a pretty powerful download. But here's the thing, people know I'm also in the coaching space. I have yet to meet a woman, whether in the coaching world or just in life, that hasn't had some hasn't had some issue with her body image, and hasn't had to face that um, that unpleasant, that uncomfortableness with who I am. It's
Absolutely.
pervasive and profoundly toxic in our culture. Just
It is. It is. And that's another one of those societal constructs that has been passed down, that a woman's worth is in her physical appearance. And even going back to, times where the only way a woman could raise up her status in life was to be beautiful so that someone wealthy would marry her because they couldn't own land. They couldn't, had no control whatsoever. And so if you were in a lower socioeconomic um, area, the only way to bring yourself up out of that poverty or whatever was to get a man's attention, and that was through physical beauty. And that's olden days, but that message still is in our minds, and it's constantly reinforced. Everybody talks about the Instagram effect, and your grandmother was a model, and we all know how everything's photoshopped and there's special lighting and they tweak this and tweak that. And but certain standards are held up as, if you aren't this, you aren't as worthy as this person. It's kind of that Princess Diana, Marilyn Monroe. That's what was coming to my mind when you were talking about your grandmother, someone who dies at the peak of their beauty, and then they are just worshiped for, that perfect person that they were, when in reality, they absolutely were not perfect. And whether you have physical beauty, wherever you are, that doesn't determine your worth. And most women aren't lucky enough to all of a sudden flip that switch the way that you did. So many women struggle with it their whole lives. It's something I have struggled with. And I have, my aha moment came about 4.5 years ago in 2019. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I've always been a perfectionist. I'm in the fitness industry. I'm a personal trainer. I teach classes. I teach yoga. I'm on Instagram. I'm being judged. I have trolls sometimes saying, you shouldn't be this because you're not that, blah, 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 blah. And it's hard not to believe that. But once I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was faced with chemotherapy for a year, 20 rounds, losing all my hair, radiation. My skin is radiated. I have scars. I had a double mastectomy, 3 consecutive surgeries for a reconstruction. So my body isn't the way that it used to be. And I was already hating on it back then. Or always wanting it to be better or more or closer to whatever the perfection in my brain was telling me I had to be in order to be good enough.
Mhm.
And now that I'm on the other side, I've been cancer free. I just had my 4-year clean scan, and
Yay.
I thank you. And I feel incredible. That knocked me on my butt. I couldn't exercise. I couldn't work very much. So all of the things that I identified with, my work, my physical appearance, were sort of like taken away all in a second. And my whole script in my head flipped because I started realizing, oh my goodness, I am going through brutal treatments and I'm surviving. I'm bouncing back each time. They hit me with these chemicals. I take care of my body, and 3 weeks later, I'm back on my feet, ready for the next treatment. It carried me through. My body carried me through one step at a time, and now I'm 100% back to health. And I'm in my 50s. I'm strong. I can do everything I wanted to that I want to do. And it was such a powerful testament to how incredible, amazing, wonderful our bodies are, and how much our bodies do. Without our bodies, we wouldn't be moving through this life. And no matter what your physical condition, scars, cellulite, wrinkles, all of those things, those are completely superficial and have nothing to do with how valuable you are. Your value is in the life you live, the authenticity that you bring, the gifts that you have, the relationships you have. And if we're held back all the time by constantly being paranoid and thinking we don't look good enough, and thinking, oh, I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want to show myself because I'm embarrassed for how I look. We're not achieving what we're meant to achieve. We're not fulfilling what we're meant to fulfill. And it is tragic that I always say, imagine what women could do in this world if we weren't always weighed down by our self-criticism, that weight of I'm not good enough, constantly holding us back from going for that job, taking that vacation, getting that relationship, whatever. And let's face it, we're already kicking butt, right? We've come a long way with a lot of hard work. So we're killing it already. And just imagine the possibilities if we could shed that not enoughness. One of the things that I say to my clients, it's a little journal exercise, is if I had unlimited confidence, I would blank. And you could probably rattle off 10 things that you're probably meant to be doing,
Mm.
but because of your low self-worth, you aren't doing it.
Well, yes to all of that. And I just like to ask, how does yoga help inform you on this question?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yoga is an amazing tool, something that I have loved for 20 years. And yoga, for one thing, I struggle with anxiety and that mind that always wants to go and go and go, which so many people do. And when I'm doing yoga, I'm so focused. It's a meditation for me that really works because just sitting still and trying to clear my mind, it doesn't happen for me. But when I do a moving meditation like yoga and walking, you're focused on the here and now, you're focused on that movement. And I have an actual yoga meditation on YouTube if anyone wants to look me up at Sarah Haas Wellness. It's a body love meditation, and you can do it while you're doing yoga. And what you do is you focus on the body part that you're stretching or strengthening at that moment. So let's say your hips are tight and you're focusing on stretching your hips. Well, a lot of us don't like our hips, right? Or your core or your belly or your thighs, whatever it is. And instead of looking at in the mirror or comparing yourself to other people if you're in a class or whatever, or thinking I'm not enough, I'm not flexible enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not thin enough, you focus on the body part and you give it gratitude. Oh my goodness, my legs are so strong. I can run, I can walk, I can go wherever I want to go. I took a trip to Spain last fall. I'm taking a trip to Ireland this fall. And my strong, incredible, powerful legs are doing that for me. I ask them to do it and they do. And so just coming into your body and showing individual parts instead of just looking in the mirror as a whole and going, I'm no good. I don't like it. I don't like what I see. Yuck. You slow down and you come in the moment and you realize the truth of your body.
Beautiful. Love that. Pardon me. The the other thing, is the value of yoga in this moment, which I'm going to put it in different words, but you've already said it, is we're accepting who and what we are in this moment, just the way we are. So it's a beautiful practice to help rewire the default position of I'm not enough, or I need to look this way and I'm not looking this way now, and so now I have a problem. The thing about yoga, when you're in the present moment and you're, here, there's no problem. And we have to practice that in order to rewire the brain. Right. Right. And also for the audience that also experiences the undercurrent of anxiety and has difficulty sitting still. I love your, moving the moving meditation, from a trauma perspective, I'm super careful in the trauma informed space to not have somebody sit still in meditation, because that's mimicking a shutdown response, right? And we don't want to do that in case they've got a trigger on them, and because they get activated around being still. So we give them a little bit of movement, maybe a mantra, maybe just to direct the breath, but some kind of regular with a little rhythm to it, which kind of hypnotizes the mind. It definitely relaxes the nervous system, and then the mind follows the nervous system. So we've got this lovely kind of cascading effect. Actually, it goes from the nervous system up to the mind, but this beautiful cascading effect that can help us retrain the nervous system out of that habit of anxiety. Because for me, it was a habit, and maybe a habit for you. It's a way to retrain that. And every time I start feeling anxiety again, I let out that long exhale. I remember the breath, and I redirect the energy, right? But it takes practice.
Yeah, that's why they call it a practice. It does. And the thing is, one of the things I teach is you don't have to do all or nothing. You don't have to join a yoga studio and sign up for a class every single day. You can literally take 5 minutes, which I do throughout the day because I sit a lot. I do a lot of work like this on Zoom. And getting up and just doing a couple of yoga stretches sort of quiets that noise. You said, decluttering, because the my mind will get so cluttered, and I know a lot of women deal with this because we're balancing and juggling so many things. And just that little break to just take a few breaths and just forget about what's going on and just move your body for a minute or two really breaks that cycle. And like you said, it can be a habit.
Mm.
That's our baseline is anxiety and fight or flight and stress and go, 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 go. And just those little breaks throughout the day. And the more you practice it, the more you realize how good it makes you feel and the benefit. And oh my goodness, I look forward to my yoga classes. I teach two and I go to one every week, like nothing else in my entire week. Like some days at work, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'll just get through this and I have my beautiful yoga at the end of the day to wash it all away.
Love that. And I love that you take the breaks and do that realignment. I tend to forget who I really am during the day if I get spun up in the day. And that pause helps me collect and contain and redirect that ground, all those things to.
Right. All the energy is up here in your head, the thoughts, the swirling, it's
Yeah,
up in this upper
yeah,
upper chakra, if you will. And then when you go into yoga, you reground yourself. You distribute the energy evenly. And it really goes, so many women are out of touch with their bodies. We've sort of become numb to hunger signals, to thirst signals, to being tired. And that's one of the reasons that we just mindlessly snack and
mm,
eat all day is we don't even realize it, but we're not feeling good. We're tired, we're stressed, whatever. Um, and so we're just grabbing something, caffeine, sugar, whatever, to give us a little boost. And we've become so numb to the body's signals that we don't even know, we're not even paying attention to when we're full. And a lot of times carrying extra weight is just the symptom. It's not, we think of it as the problem. Women come to me and they say, I want to lose weight. My problem is I'm too heavy. But really, the issue is there's something out of balance.
Mm,
And you're carrying extra weight is your body's way of communicating that to you. And in order to create balance, you have to get back in touch with your body. You have to hear the messages that it's sending you. We can't just keep tuning them out and numbing them out with foods and alcohol and caffeine and things like that, and work and staying busy and keeping our mind busy. These are all avoidance. And I know you work a lot with trauma, and it's natural to want to avoid difficult feelings.
mhm.
But when we're so numbed out all day long, we don't take care of ourselves.
Yeah,
That's the fact.
we're we're missing we're missing so much information,
Yeah, and just taking a few
which
minutes to breathe and come back into your body allows you to start reconnecting so that you understand the signals. So you know when you're hungry, you know when you're full, you know when you're thirsty, you know when you need to rest, and you know if there are emotions coming up that need to be dealt with, because
Mhm.
eating is a way of just stuffing them down. And I think that's one reason that we avoid physical activity, we avoid yoga, we avoid stillness and coming back into ourselves, because those feelings might start coming up. And that's, I know, part of the work that you do is helping people gently allow those emotions and deal with them so that they can process. Because we have to process them. They're going to stay there as long as we keep them stuffed in.
Yeah,
And food is one of those tools that we use to keep stuffing it down.
we don't get any training in that in pre-kindergarten, kindergarten school. No training on what to do with feelings other than I don't want to see those. Be quiet. Sit down. Right.
Mr. Rogers,
He
he
was
was
amazing.
way ahead of his time.
He
He
was amazing.
was incredible. And if we all had parents and teachers like Mr. Rogers,
Yes.
we would have a lot better idea of how to express and allow our feelings to flow
It would be a
and
different
have
world.
permission and feel that we have permission to do so.
That's right. Interesting. So I had a client yesterday that I was doing an ancestor clearing. Um, so I can bring in that angle, but I'd love to hear your answer, your angle. I just I just keep eating even when I'm not hungry. And just very kind of confused about where that came from. From an ancestral point of view, uh, we had times when there was famine and we if there'd be a big kill, if we found an animal and we actually made a kill for the tribe, everybody would eat until because the meat would go bad. So we have this this old pattern which has been with us for since the beginning of time of grab onto the resources and when you have them, because times may be thin later, right? So we have this tendency to grab for food. Well, now we're living in an environment where food is plentiful, and we still have that tendency. It's quite primitive, right? So in the ancestral clearing world, we would clear for times that there was famine, and times the food was gone and we didn't get a chance to, we didn't get our fair share. All those little nuances around that. Uh, that's that angle. But I help lead 2 food addiction meetings a week on Recovery 2.0, their online platform. And there's all kinds of behaviors that lead into this, the I don't want to feel this, so I'm going to go I'm just going to go do something else. I've had periods, and my friends, in recovery, from food addiction and just kind of recovery generally, we'll find ourselves just opening the refrigerator looking for something and it's not there. Have you ever done that? It's what I'm looking for is not here, but we're kind of, that's when I've just gone unconscious. I'm running on unconscious behaviors at that point. I've right, but it happens. What is your experience with, or what's your take on the thing about eating when I'm not hungry?
Yeah, that's a great question because that is something that so many women can relate to. And I will go back to saying that is a signal from your body that something's out of balance. When you say you don't want to eat when you're not hungry, when you say you're going to change this behavior, but it continues to happen, that means there's something that needs a closer look. And it can be for so many reasons. I love what you said about, our brains are programmed for survival. And so, yes, we're going to be driven to eat, but now the food is plentiful. We're not in a famine. We don't need to overeat so that to save calories for later if we're not going to have food. And so I think the clearing that you do is just wonderful because that can sort of release that piece of it. But there has to be some investigation into what is causing this. And there are different reasons for different people. One of the reasons can be, like I said, stress. You're eating because food gives you a little boost, especially like sugar and snacky kind of empty carbs, processed foods, gives you that little energy boost, that little feel good, releases those chemicals in your brain. And if you're going through the day, stress, 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 and we need to feel good. We all need to feel good. And if we don't feel good, we find a way to feel better. Some people drink alcohol, some people shop on Amazon. Some people work more, whatever gives you that boost. But food has been accepted in our society as a cure, as a help for emotional issues. Like imagine one of your girlfriends has a breakup. What's the first thing you do? You go over with some Ben and Jerry's and a bottle of wine. It's socially acceptable to just go, all right, I'm going to eat a whole cake. I've had a horrible day. So that's one reason, is just plain old stress and trying to feel better. There's other things like loneliness, where you need to feel good because you don't have that community or that intimacy or relationships that you so long for and you need. And so food is a comfort. And a lot of us grew up in households where, there was a stress, trauma, everything wasn't just necessarily peachy, you're dealing with alcoholic parents or a mental illness in someone in your household, so many different things. And food is what we have access to. When you're a kid, you have to survive. So whatever is available to you, we don't have control in that time, because the people in charge of taking care of us are in charge. They have the control. But food is something that's there that you can get that will help you feel better. And some of us grew up reaching for that. And then we continue to self-medicate. And another one that goes really deep is that I see a lot is women who've experienced assault, trauma, abuse, who don't realize that they are insulating themselves from whatever hurt them.
Oh,
It's a protective layer, and
absolutely.
also a way of trying to be invisible, of not attracting attention.
Yeah.
So there are so many reasons. I can't just say, oh, here's what you need to do if you're reaching for food when you don't want to, when you're really not hungry. What you have to do is be curious
Mm,
instead of being harsh, instead of being critical of yourself and saying, why did you do that again? And having that shame and just saying, why don't you have willpower? How come everybody else can do this and I can't? Because that's not the truth to begin with. And that's not going to take you forward to what you really need to be working out. And
mm,
some of this could be, just stress. Maybe you need a different job. Maybe you need to lower your responsibilities. Maybe you need to take some breaks throughout the day. Or it can be, a really difficult issue that your imbalance, your body is calling your attention to. And so just being curious in the moment, when that comes on, stop, instead of just reaching for it, pause and
mm.
think, what am I hungry for? What am I needing right now?
That's
What am
right.
I what am I missing? Am I lonely? Do I need to talk to someone? Am I dealing with an issue that's too hard to deal with on my own? Do I need to reach out to an expert or a professional?
Well, I think you're saying something so important here because when I get activated, I don't have any idea what my needs are because I'm activated. I'm dysregulated and I'm not able to think clearly. So the move there is get with somebody else because they can help you. You can co-regulate together. Don't think that you're a burden because you're actually offering them a chance to help somebody else. So you're giving them a chance to be of service to you. And they'll be able to kind of probably be able to see what your need is. They can help you with that, right? So very important to address the underlying, pardon me, the underlying need for sure. So tell us about the programs you've got coming up.
Well, I'm really excited because one of the things so many people are dealing with is sugar cravings, sugar addiction. It's rampant and sugar's so available. It's so cheap. It's so easy. It's such a quick fix for so many things. So next week, starting February 12th, I'm kicking off a free 5-day breakup with sugar challenge. And because it can be hard to do on your own. It can be when you just wake up and say, okay, I'm not going to eat sugar today. And then you find yourself, 2 hours later getting a Frappuccino. And so this is a guided, we do it as a group. It's live. So it's a group coaching for 5 days. And so all the other women in the group are doing it together. And then I'm there to serve as the guide to take you through it step by step and to kind of break it down. Here's what's actually going on. And here's what we're going to do to start getting over this. So, 5 days, it's a doable thing. It's not like super overwhelming. I'm never going to say, all right, you got to break up with sugar and never have it again in your life. But it's starting to achieve that balance with sugar. I love chocolate. I'm never going to live a life where I don't have chocolate sometimes. But I also don't want to be in a place where I need chocolate every day
Mhm.
over and over to get through my day. And so helping women bring that little piece into balance
Mhm.
is what I have coming up, and I'm really excited about it. And I also do group coaching 2 times a year. I do a 6-week group coaching program, and I have that coming up at the beginning of March. And I also do individual coaching one-on-one year round when I have slots available to take on new clients. And really, what I do is help women identify where the imbalance is. I mean,
Mhm.
you need a foundation. You need to understand, like, what does a balanced way look like? What does a balanced
Good,
way of
yeah.
eating look like? What does a balanced way of exercising and moving my body look like? Like, what am I trying to achieve here exactly? And but it's not just the what, it is how. And I see my role as a guide and a support to take you through that process of how do you actually implement this in a way that doesn't feel like some big overwhelming diet where you just have this big list of foods and a big thing of exercise and they say, okay, here's your thing, go out and do it.
Well, that's not,
So I work with people one on one to step by step go through this process so that they come into balance, and then it feels good, it feels natural, it becomes a regular everyday way of living, and you don't have to think about it. You're not hungry, and it's nothing extreme in any area. I'm never going to say, never have carbs, or, cut out some huge food group, or, make sure you're just eating X number of calories and make your plate smaller. That stuff doesn't work. That's all just, that's going to be an all or nothing. You're going to do it for a little while and then you're going to stop doing it. And so I'm here to help women stop with that up and down, stop with that off and on. Let's really drill down. Let's get to what's going on so that we can clear that out and you can be on this healthy, balanced path for the rest of your life.
yeah, something sustainable, nurturing and sustainable.
Yeah, and it feels good. Getting healthy should feel good. It shouldn't be miserable. It shouldn't be a boot camp. It shouldn't be a torture every day. It can feel great and it can be fun. And there are pieces, like what the work that you do, where you do need to work on something that's a little bit more difficult and a little deeper. But the thing is, there is always a way. It's just tapping into what is that way for you. And then how do I go about it?
Beautiful. I love that. As well as mothers and grandmothers, I dare say that in this, um, if we know how, if we're doing that for ourselves, look at how we're modeling that for others. So we're born, we all have these things called mirror neurons. I know you know this. I'm just bringing that in for the audience. And so we're fabulous mimics. We're set up for that. So, women set the tone for the house. And so if we take care of ourselves, then we're now modeling that for everyone else in the family. And they're going to pick it up by osmosis. Hopefully they'll pick it up knowing that, mom or grandmom or whoever is that the energy there is so loving and nurturing that they just kind of naturally take that on for themselves. So they learn how to do that for themselves. So it's important.
Absolutely.
This work you're doing is important on so many levels.
Yes, it does affect not just your life, but your generations to come. Because, like you said, mom is the energy center of the home.
Mhm.
Everything revolves around mom. The cats are drawn toward mom. The kids are drawn toward mom. Everyone's in your orbit all the time. And you're modeling. You can say, no, sit down. No, you deserve some rest. No, you should eat this healthy. But if you aren't doing it,
That's
they're
right.
also not going to do it.
That's right.
And I have a son who is a type 1 diabetic. He's a teenager now, but was diagnosed at age 6. And I realized very quickly that you're not going to all of a sudden tell a 6-year-old kid, here's how you have to live, if you're not modeling it and living it
Exactly.
as a family, as a unit. And and not only do you give your daughters, your granddaughters permission to make themselves a priority and to care for themselves by you modeling it, it ripples out to other women.
That's
We brag about how busy we are. We brag about how tired we are. We brag about how much work we have to do and this and that. But no one ever says, Wow, I'm so happy because I have been getting 8 hours of sleep every night and I feel so much so rested and relaxed. And, I'm taking a week off next week just for mental health. And those aren't the
Or,
kind of things that we talk about very
or,
much.
or I'm so proud of the way I'm taking care of myself. When-
Exactly.
But when they're home,
Exactly.
I have a
Yeah,
conversation.
instead of your house having to look perfect and everyone admiring you for that and then striving for that to be their thing, what if you take a nap every day when you get home from work because you're exhausted? And that's what you model. And then other women see it and go, "Oh, well, if she can do that, maybe I'm allowed to do that."
Exactly. Well, Sarah, this has been great. Thank you just so much. I'm going to put the links to your social media links and to your, I think I have the link to your program as well. So people can get in touch with you there. I just really enjoy sitting talking with you where we have so much in common. And
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a wonderful conversation, and you are just a light in this world, and I appreciate you letting me be in it.
all right. Well, thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, if you have any questions or comments, pop them in the comments section. One of us or both of us will be glad to answer them. Everybody have a great day.